And so I'm so grateful for your caring to be with me in this now moment because you could be doing so many other things. And I am always prayerful that you listen so that you are inspired to go higher, to reach deeper. You listen because you find value in the message, as repetitive as it may be, to know that we have been inundated with so much of that which isn't beautiful. It ain't nice. It's just downright freaking disenchanting, unnecessary. And see, that's the other aspect of it is that we are steeped in all of this stuff in the midst of dwelling in the reality of the presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence that is beginningless, endless, infinite, and eternal, consistently slapped in the face by the righteous indignation of ones and ones who don't care to be rightly aligned, who don't care to change, who don't care to shift, who don't want to make a difference, who would rather continue to eat themselves to death and drink themselves to death and smoke themselves to death and then do it and then not really do it with the awareness that they're killing themselves. And then when you say something about it, be like, well, you got to die from something. And I'm saying, see, y'all don't want to be told. You don't want to be said, okay, y'all just go on and keep killing yourselves. Just kill yourselves and get the hell on. But then say, oh, well, Adama, that ain't right. But the issue is, why are we flirting with death in the realm of eternity? And so it's just completely antithetical to what it is to be human, to feel entitled to be undermining yourselves and yourself. And this is why we have to really kind of hear it over and over and over again, because you're hearing it over again allows you to come to a thought about what more you could be asking for and creating with your life, for your life on a daily basis, because what we have learned to do, we do it repetitively. You get up in the morning, you have your morning rituals, whether it's getting your coffee, getting your newspaper, getting into the shower, getting into the tub, how you take care of yourself, your outer hygiene. You understand, you are consistently steeped in repetition. All right. But to hear the truth of the bastardizing impact and effect of a death culture in our lives, y'all don't want to hear that consistently, but those of you who are listening, you're hearing it consistently, and I'm addressing it, and you're seeing it consistently. And so at this particular point, we're consistently being called to make better choices for ourselves and our lives and our children and our lineages. And many ones do not want to be held to any accountability or responsibility for right action in this now moment, because we have been sold that, we have the right to our own opinion and our own theories, that, you can't force the truth upon us, but they force the lie on you. You understand? They don't want to force the truth on you. Now, having come into a realm where everybody was exalting a full effort in the living, and you were nourished and cultivated in love and developed consciously with fresh fruit and water and vegetation, and your educational and religious training supported you in realizing the divinity and the truth of yourself, and cultivated you by virtue of your self-knowing and looking at and giving you the keys to your self-realization and self-unfoldment, then y'all wouldn't have said, oh, well, they forced that on us. It was just what you were given, and given that in terms of what our duty, obligation, and responsibility actually is as parents and grandparents and teachers and all of that, is to ensure the progression of people. But what we got in terms of the miseducation and all of the behavior modification that is the assault upon the cells of the artificial colors and flavors and nitrates and nitrites and pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics, and all of this, that's being forced upon you. It's not the truth that's being forced upon you. It's the oppression at the cellular level that has been forced upon you. And now you're having the opportunity to respond correctly and directly by making choices daily to no longer participate in undermining yourselves and yourself, because you understand that there is an agenda to have you divided within yourself so that you are not exalting a full effort in your living, your loving, your exertion of your will to be in harmony with the will of existence and the love of this absolute and supreme reality that is literally eternity. So you walk on the planet, you get your head down so much upon the earth that you forget that you're in space. And that space that we are in flotation and rotation divinely, is eternity. We should not be dying here. And so, this consistency of my conversation uh, and addressing it so that we are able to respond, and we realize that our bodies are perfect. And the only imperfection exists as a result of our not having been supported by the food industry, by the churches, by the school systems and whatnot, in accepting it and then facilitating it. And so when doctors and nurses are not knowing how to create the most expeditious facilitation of your healing, now they're good at their procedures, but sometimes the procedures are not even as necessary. You understand that if you've got infection, then they're going to assault your body with antibiotics, right? But they're not going to look for the source of the infection. And they're not going to tell you how to cleanse from the infection. So they're poisoning the infection. So when we're talking infection, we're talking organism. We're talking bacteria, we're talking viruses. But to be eating the flesh of dead animals introduces these organisms and bacteria and worms and parasites and all of this into your body. All right, but then they don't want you to do anything. They don't even ask you what you're eating. All right, so just poisoning or killing the infection, killing the organisms doesn't get the dead organisms out of your body. And then the more mucus producing things that you're consuming in terms of the breads, the rice, the beans, the eggs, the cheese, and whatnot, then you are literally preventing the dead organisms to be able to get out. And then the other organisms are loving all of that mucus and they're reproducing anyway. So you keep the infection, the urinary tract infections, the vaginal infections, and then you create these cysts upon the ovaries and upon your liver and the tumors and stuff that begin to grow because the body is so perfect and it's isolating all of this garbage that should be eliminated from the system. So yes, I am saying that when we care to see something different outside of the externalization, we have to create the difference internally. And that's the responsibility we have in clearing and cleansing the blood and coming to a point and place where we accept our perfection and we are harmonizing with the will of God, because the intention of the intelligence of our being was not so that we are here to suffer. It is not conscious. There is no effort that the intelligence of existence is forcing upon us that which is suffering. Well, God ain't gonna give you no more than what you can handle. I'm saying God didn't give you this. God gave you so much of Himself, and it gave you love. And they give you fruit and vegetation and herbs and sunshine and fresh air and greens and birds and bees and things that make your life just absolutely divine. You're living on a planet that is freaking paradise, right? So that's what God gave us. And then we're creating all of this filth because of the death industries. And how is it that people can get you to serve them and there's no benefit? Yes, you're getting paid to do it, but packaging, producing, manufacturing, distributing that which has no substance, and then marketing it and advertising it and distributing it and putting it available for people to consume, and it has no substance. It has nothing that the body can utilize as fuel. But this is multi-trillion dollar business, so the people themselves will have to stop supporting their own demise in order for the industries of death to die out. So, as long as you are the perpetuators, the sowers of the seeds of sickness, illness, and disease, then you will have a tragic day with fate, because it is absolute law that you will reap a harvest that is consistent with the nature of the seeds that you have sown. Now, ones and ones may want to exclude themselves from the participation of it, even though you work for these companies. And I'm saying you're working for these companies is the sowing of the seeds in the misuse of your life force and your life currency in the production, the manufacture, distribution, the advertising, and the of all of the meat, the dairy, the eggs, the chicken, the fish, the alcohol, tobacco, and all of these things that are literally the foundation of all of the filth upon the planet, when the planet itself has no filth. There's dirt, there's silt, there's sand, there's mud, but there's no filth. The filth is the refuse from the death industries. But the real filth from the death industry is in the people, in the bloodstream, in the lymph system, in the tumors that's cause cancer, cause the cancers and the heart disease and the diabetes and all of these things that are creating all of these other things that are supposedly helping to maintain and sustain the body, what they're calling life support. And I'm saying you don't need to wait until you're next to your last breath or your last heartbeat to get life support. You need support for your life on a daily basis. But to have death support on a daily basis and then get to a point where you can hardly breathe and you can hardly do anything, and then they call it life support and have you on life support, and then they take you off life support because they need the bed. And the family is not wanting you to be off life support, but the family didn't support your life the whole time. And so we're having to get a grip and realize, no, everyone is here for the purpose of exalting life, perpetuating life, rejoicing in the gift and the blessedness of living. Everybody is here to serve life. Life serves everything and everybody. Nobody is here to participate in death. That's not purpose in being. Nobody is here to participate in killing. That's not purpose. That's the devil in you. You understand? Where you don't feel no way. You don't feel no way. And so we see how everybody's been given intelligence, and people use or misuse their intelligence for their own purposes. So some people, they have the most, they're able to create the most just amazing ways of stealing and killing and usurping and bastardizing. This is what the corporate deities of death have done. Their advertising and whatnot is just such where they have really got y'all in a place where you don't feel any degree of responsibility to honor your life. That's the behavior modification that has come as a result of the impact and the effect of behavior modifying chemicals that have been disguised as flavor enhancers and shelf stabilizers and artificial colors and flavors, in addition to the nitrates, nitrites, the BHA, BHT that's in the breakfast cereals, and all of the other chemicals that are now saturating your tissue. So yes, I'm reminding you that you can be completely cleared, cleansed, purified, renewed, rebirthed, regenerated, rejuvenated, revitalized. And as we do that work, the death industries have to die. I'll be forward in just a bit. Arise and shine, beautiful people arise. Arise in the light of God's wisdom, beautiful people arise. Greetings, WRFG family. This is Dr. Jewel Crawford, host of Visionaries, that airs Fridays at 4 p.m. on the Public Affairs Newsroom. Just wanted to let you know that my show is on
Picking up and moving to Mondays at 6 p.m. We'll cover all the topics that affect our communities, particularly the African American community. We'll discuss healthcare, mental health, education, emergency preparedness, reparations, and leadership. So tune in to Visionaries in our new time, Mondays from 6 to 7 p.m., right here and only here on your listener sponsored and supported independent community radio, 89.3 FM, WRFG, your station for progressive information and hand picked quality music. It's time to realize, beautiful people arise, beautiful people inside.
I'm at 445238989. And I really had the thought today. It's like, okay, well, I've done this 25 years. Maybe it's time for me to stop. Why? Because I keep saying the same thing over and over. And y'all keep doing the same thing over and over. So, it's kind of like, I'm not saying it's kind of like, I'll say this. Y'all remember when we were little, there was a cartoon that had the sheepdog and the wolf, and they would check in every day. They'd put their time cards in. Good morning, Harry. Good morning, Frank, whatever the names were, right? And then they get busy, the wolf trying to get the sheep and the sheepdog trying to protect the sheep and whatnot. And they end up beating each other up and whatnot, all of that. And the sheep just going on and doing what they do, kind of oblivious to the warfare that's going on around them, right? And then they clock out at the end of the day. Good night, Harry. Good night, Harry. Good night, Frank. Whatever. And I'm saying this is kind of how the life is here. Is that people are clocking in every day, and there are those who are working towards the detriment of the people, and there are those who are trying to put band-aids on cancer of the people, and the people are just doing whatever they want to do. And I'm just saying at this particular point in time, let's stop the foolishness. Let's come to a point in place where you are intentional in being successful in your life, and coming to a point in place where you are uncompromising with these entities and efforts and whatnot. And a lot of ones really don't even understand that once you begin to literally phase off of the standard American diet and the meat, the dairy, the eggs, the chicken and fish and all of this, then your body moves into cleanse mode. So most of you will experience weight loss. It doesn't mean that the chemicals get out of the system. It means that the body will isolate those chemicals and store them and wrap them in mucus from more nuts and flour products that you think you're vegan, but the issue is you're not vegan because you are still filled with the rot of carcasses and all of the mucus and all of this stuff, so that the body is literally having to go through the process of deeper cleansing, conscious, intentional cleansing, particularly where you have so much ink, and it's really heart wrenching to see how much ink people have put over their bodies and without thinking about where the ink pools. Where does it go? Anything that we put on our skin gets into our bloodstream, but then you're not thinking about how that affects you when you're cleansing and then you stop. So the conscious intention to release on a daily basis what the body is indeed loosening up, that includes a lot of chemicals. And for those who don't have tattoos, you still have nitrates, BHA, BHT, artificial colors, artificial flavors. If you smoked, if you did any of the recreational drugs, if you did the ecstasy, if you did the LSD, if you did the crack, if you did the heroin, if you did any of the pharmaceutical drugs, all of these drugs are still held in the mucus of the system. So we're consciously caring to advocate for a mucusless regimen, because the mucus becomes hardened and it facilitates the crystallization of all of this stuff. And so you'll find that ones who are in the fitness frequency and all of the exercise, and you just exercising and sculpting sludge and you building up the body, and you haven't done anything to cleanse all of this stuff, and then you just popping more protein and eating more eggs and doing more carbs, and you running and running and running, and next thing you know, you got cancer, you got Lou Gehrig's disease, you got, the atrophy of your muscles because now there's so much acidity there. You understand? So I'm just saying is that we have to begin to realize that the body is perfectly and divinely designed, and we're 80% water. And so the whole thought that you've got to be pumped up like bricks, hardened muscle mass, without the understanding that your body is 80% water. You need the fluidity of the water. Why? Because the water holds the frequency and the vibration of your love, your light, your prayers, your programming. We're reprogramming. And if you were to print a copy of the water crystal of love and gratitude, cut it out and put it on your cell phone, it will dissipate the radiation from your cell phones, from your electronic devices, from your laptops, from your tablets and all of that. And you definitely need to put it on any of the devices that your children are carrying, because your children are still in development. You understand? And to have whole generations of children who are carrying these cell phones without diodes or anything to offset it, and then they're listening and then they're playing all the time, is that we are creating, particularly when they're being fed chicken nuggets and all of this stuff, creating all of this acidity. You're laying foundation for the formation of cancer cells within these children without realizing it. And so we're having to really take the time to put our values and our priorities in place. And that we cannot literally create the greatest life for ourselves where we do not have an aspiration towards the greatness in realizing and self realizing, self actualizing, and harmonizing with the will of the source of our being for its exaltation as our behavior, as what we aspire towards, is exalting the source of our being as source of our being, exalting the divinity that we have been gifted by virtue of our presence in this realm that is still in eternity, though we are on a planet in the realm of temporality, corporality, physicality, and materiality. We're still in the realm of eternity, here to master ourselves. Because creator knowledge, creation knowledge, and self knowledge are the trinity for our liberation. And there are so many divinely guided spirits upon the planet that we are cooperative, cooperating, whether we know each other or not, in giving our gifts for our mutual elevation, for our mutual rise, for our mutual resurrection, because you cannot really give the greatest gift without the greatest intention on behalf of the greatest number. You understand? So if we are just about our own little dot, then there's just so much greatness you're going to come to when you don't have any great aspiration for the wholeness. You understand? So being committed to the wholeness of everything and everybody. So I say that to say that when you are really about liberation, you have to be about the liberation of everything and everybody. You can't just be about your own liberation and have the fullness of the light, the love, the wisdom, the truth, the capacity of influence and whatnot, if you do not have the aspiration towards serving the greatest number, the greatest good. And see, this is how people become millionaires and whatnot, is that they create products and they distribute it to the greatest number. You understand? When we were little, they had Tootsie Rolls and they were like a penny or two. So they produced millions and millions of these Tootsie Rolls and they put them everywhere. You understand? And so they made millions and millions of dollars on penny candy. Penny this, a penny that, because they had millions and millions of it. And when you have millions of people buying millions of things, then yes, you can have millions of dollars. All right, the issue for us is coming to a point where we realize that at the end of the path, you're still gonna die because you did not have the aspiration towards fulfilling purpose in being. Capitalism has given us the opportunity to capitalize off of the behavior modification and the stupidity of the people where they'll buy anything. You understand? You can sell anybody something. You understand? You can sell. And people pride themselves on the ability to sell water to fish. You know, just just coming up to we could do any freaking thing. And I'm saying, oh, that's all well and good, but does that mean that you get out of this alive? Particularly where you already 200 and some pounds overweight, where you've been that way most of your life. You've never known a slim, trim body. You've never known optimum cellular functioning. You have always been dealing with meat, dairy, eggs, chicken, fish, flesh, flour, sugar, alcohol, tobacco, and all of this. And now you're on pharmaceuticals. You're on high blood pressure meds. You're having to do dialysis 3 times. I'm just saying, it's like, no, your mind got to be in a place and space where you know who your source is and what your source is, and be completely committed to it in order to shift this frequency. And no matter where you are, whether you are in a state facility, a federal facility, whether you're in the hospital, wherever you're listening to me from, I'm saying that we are having to come to this place and space where we are literally bathing in the reality of the being present in the presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence that is beginningless, endless, infinite, and eternal. That's a much higher thought than dwelling in Babylon. You understand? That's a much greater thought than being in the belly of the beast. That's a much greater thought than being in America. You understand? So the greater the thought, the greater the opportunity to rise. The greater the thought, and where the thought is literally immersed in absolute truth, then that gives you leverage over all of the other stuff. We have to realize that we are not here to be the pawns of a system of oppression. We are not here to be steeped in sickness, illness, and disease, and to think that we're here to be cash cows on behalf of those ones who've invested in all of the surgical procedures and all of the tools for surgical procedures and all of these things, and we're just numbers to them. We are not here to be enslaved to appetites and desires. We are here to serve the purposes of existence. We are here to literally glorify and honor the lineages through whom we've come. We are here to ensure the perpetuation of our lineages. We are here to literally self realize, self actualize, and to come into the greatest political consciousness possible in self realization and vivid self representation as intelligences of existence. Men, the progenitor of lineages, womb, men, the perpetuator of lineages, and to be about the business of perpetuating life. I'll be forward in just a bit.
'Night Watch on 89.3 FM, WRFG, Atlanta.
And so, as voice on behalf of our liberation and our resurrection, I am encouraging you to realize no matter where you are in the process of it all, you're coming to this place of care. See, care is powerful. When you really care, you can accomplish anything. But when you don't care, you ain't gonna do what you could do when you don't care to do it. The issue now is, how do you care to be? There was a saying that says, to be or not to be is the question. Being is the gift. To not be is the sinfulness. It said the wages of sin is death. That's what it says. What is sinfulness? Missing the mark. What is the mark? Being on point and target with your creator, with the purpose in being. Being dutiful and applying yourself wholeheartedly towards your wholeness and making the most of the days. And we have some ones that they just sit back and they just take, and they don't feel they've not really created the wherewithal within themselves to really be generous in their giving because they've not developed themselves to do it. And so, you know, these people have founded the country on taking. You understand? So when they talk about Thanksgiving, I'm saying, oh well, we call it thanks taking. You're thankful for your taking and the usurpation and the shift of the ecological balance of the earth, and how many of us remember that we had fruit trees and we had, things growing all around us, and then there was an initiative to bulldoze the fruit trees and plant trees that have that bear no fruit in the landscaping and whatnot. Plant grass. Do you realize grass is not natural? What we know is grass, where they've just dug out everything and then they laid all of this sod down, and people have different kinds of grasses, right? And the grass doesn't feed anybody. But then if you take bird seed down and you put bird seed all down all over your grass, and after a while you got clover, you got all kinds of things growing up in the midst of it. But most people are not going to do that because they like their well manicured lawns. You understand? They want their communities to be a certain kind of way. You got to pay a certain kind of fee for your uh, participation in whatever community development you're in. You understand? So everything looks really, really nice, but then the people have all this filth and garbage on the inside of their bodies. That's a trick.
Okay, go on.
And looks real good all over the place. Looks real, real good. Yeah, I want to live in that community because it's all clean and everything. And then the people are full of garbage. The rot of pigs and cows and turkey and chicken and alcohol and tobacco and all of this garbage. It's garbage. It's garbage. 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 Garbage in. Garbage don't get out. Garbage creates sickness, illness, disease, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity. Garbage. They call it food. I call it garbage. Now, is your body a freaking garbage can? No, your body is the temple for where you meet God. When you cleanse it, when you honor it, when you celebrate each day of living and exalting a full effort in your living, so that you are literally walking in the divinity, the sanctity, the sacredness, the wealth, and the richness, the giftedness, the blessedness of who and whose you are. And that's a much better way to be than being filled with garbage and living in a nice place, having a nice car, and you clean your car, you vacuum your car, and you wax your car, you invest all this in your car, and then you putting the cheapest goddamn thing in your body temple. Wake up. To be under the auspices of the people who think more of things than they do the lives of the people. You understand? And then they flood us with all of the movies and series and whatnot about all of the thieving and all of the stuff that goes on, but then all of the drug abuse and all of this stuff. And I'm just saying is that somebody's making money from it, but the money doesn't make you prosperous when there's no intention towards being in the integrity of the truth of self. And a lot of these youth, they don't find anything worthwhile to be living for because y'all ain't showing them nothing. You understand? So it's all about the games, and then you have these young ones coming up and they're just stuck to their devices. And one of my sisters, her grandson was 2 years old with a tablet with his pacifier in his mouth, and he got the tablet like this and he's going like this. He's just scrolling, looking for the basketball, looking for the football, whatever. And now that he's grown up, he's playing basketball, and you understand. And I'm just saying, it's like this trajectory of training boys to want to be men who are going to be inundated with their lust for the sports, the butts, the balls, and the breasts are coming. You understand? And so I'm just saying, does that prepare us for being fathers? No. Does it prepare us for really self-actualizing? We can become proficient in whatever the gifts and talents are where we focus. It still requires the consistency. It requires the value for what it is we're doing. It requires the practice. It requires getting out there and doing the same thing all the time. It requires really inundating your muscles with the memory of all of these moves so it becomes second nature to you. You understand? So yes, we have those ones who have become so proficient that they have gone down in history for being the best and the greatest and this and that and the other, and still end up sick and diseased. And so I'm saying we should be avoiding the sickness, illness, and disease. And I'm checking with the young brothers, and I'm saying, so if you're gonna focus on being a basketball player, what do you do otherwise? Are you focusing in learning music? When I was a youth, we had performing arts classes, we had music classes, we had language classes, we had a lot of things available to us, including physical education, where we had to climb the ropes. We had to run. We had jumping hurdles. I mean, we had so much that would give us a well-rounded sense of our own development. And then these things have been taken out. Why? Because and we have been influenced by a people who do not want to see us thrive. And in order for us to regain our footing and the integrity of who and whose we are as women, the perpetuator of lineages, and men, the progenitor of lineages, we have to have a care to thrive, to exalt a full effort in our living, our loving, our caring, our being in a place and space where life is serving us and we are servants unto life itself, and gifts unto everything and everybody. And so our coming to a point where we realize the power of our word and the power of the word when it is infused upon the waters of our cells, which is why I'm advocating the resubstantiation of the body to being 80% highly charged mineralized water. 80% of our diet being water-based, not meat, dairy, eggs, chicken, and fish, not alcohol and tobacco and sugar, but water. From your fruit, your vegetation, your herbs, your minerals from the earth, the clay, and whatnot, so that we are in harmony with the planet itself. And it matters that we care to do it. So the greater your commitments and the more intensely intentional you are in committing and recommitting to your greatness, acknowledging the greatness that is already in you by virtue of the greatness of the lineages through whom you've come, whether you can call their name or not. Let's just say grandmama, great grandmama, great 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 grandmama, granddaddy, great 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 great. I'm just saying, call the greatness, invoke that greatness, understand that the greatness is there. That's how the cities were built. That's how, you understand, that's how we have most access to most of what we have is from the greatness of lineages. And so what is our contribution? To come to a point and place where we stop the foolishness, stop it in its track, no longer supporting the corporate deities of death, coming to a point and place where you're exerting and exalting a full effort in your living, knowing that you are not here for your body to be trashed like a freaking trash can. You are here to walk the face of this earth as some of the most dynamic spirits who've ever lived. You are here to be the progression of the lineages. You were here as beneficiary of the realizations, the revelations, the epiphanies, and the intellectual properties and the givings of so many ones. You're not here to put yourself in a place where by the limitations of other ones, when the source of your being gives you the access to it, which is beginningless, endless, infinite, and eternal. It matters that we care to get beyond the religions, to get beyond the vanity, to get beyond the ego, to get beyond all of that that puts us in a place where we feel like we do not have duty, obligation, and responsibility to do the clearing, the cleansing, the purification, and the consecration. Because our being melanin dominated and our being hued and whatnot is not the salvation when our blood bears the violation of all of this toxicity. We don't have to support it, but you have to know that you can be cleansed from it, and then you have to be able to facilitate that cleansing. And it's okay to lose the waste. And I've known so many ones who they stop the process because they're not comfortable with the way their body looks, because the body has been filled up and then they got the saggy skin and whatnot. And I'm saying, yes, it's an effort, but your body will regenerate and rejuvenate. Your cars will not. Your trucks will not. Your bicycles and your motorcycles are not going to regenerate. Your body will regenerate. Your cells will regenerate. You create new organs, new tissue, new skin, new everything. But you have to be consistent. And stop claiming the disease. Well, my disease, my cancer, my this, my that ain't yours. Let it go. That is not your truth. It's a condition. It's temporary. But don't give up. You understand? People give up. Don't give up. Don't think that whatever they've said to you is the final word. No, you have the final word. And your word can be spoken daily in terms of what you put behind I am completely cleared and cleansed. I am disciplined. I am a disciple of truth. I am renewed and rebirthed, regenerated, rejuvenated, revitalized, and revivified every day. With each new day, my heart is opened. I commit my whole body, heart, mind, life, and soul to life itself. I stand on behalf of all of life. What you put behind I am becomes your truth. So if you keep saying, I can't, I won't, you understand? No, as you believe it, so shall it be. But it doesn't have to be the truth. But you'll be bound by that lie you keep affirming. Why would you be bound by the lie? Why would you accept that? And even though there may not be a lot of people around you who want to do this, do it anyway, because these people, what are they gonna do? They're gonna eat fried chicken and all of this stuff at your repast when you die. You understand? They'll talk about they'll laugh and talk about you and joke about all of the things that they experience with you, but they're not gonna live a stronger. They're not gonna make a stronger commitment to their lives because of your death. And life goes on. We've seen so many great ones pass away, and life goes on. And it becomes a newsworthy item, and Wikipedia picks it up, and YouTube and these ones who are committed to celebrity life and whatnot, and then you can get the essays or videos of their life and the struggles that they've had and this, that, and the other. And I'm saying, let our legacy be by virtue of the impact and the effect that we've had on those that we have impacted and affected. Not that you robbed them, you stole from them, you raped them, you beat them, this, that, and the other. Let not that be the impact. That's the impact of a whole system that's gone crazy. That it has usurped the right of people to have the right to their beauty, the right to their lives, the right to their divinity, the right to their connection with destiny. This is oppression. And so where we are now requires us to care to do what is in our best interest. I'll be forward in just a bit.
Sia! Sequoia Center presents the Atlanta Afro-Indigenous Peoples Festival happening June 14th through the 15th. It's a celebration of Black, Native American, and Afro-Indigeneity.
Okay, very good. And thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you. Buddy folks. Don't retire.
Yay, party folks. Tuda.
And so I'm at 404 523 8989 if you want to call in, or if you have any questions, you can text at 678 760 9299, or are we YouTube? You can post it there and I'll get it. And so I'm wanting us to realize that we can hear me, but then what are you doing with it? How are you showing up? You understand? What are you feeding your children? How are you creating something greater? And see, this is the issue. It's like, to whom much has been given, much is expected. And other ones don't want to be held to any accountability. So I'm just saying, y'all sitting in the shadows. I don't know who's listening. You understand? And I do know that my intention has always been to walk the face of this earth as one of the most influential disciples of truth and bearers of light to have ever lived, because it's necessary. Because it's necessary for other ones to have the examples of elders who are showing them and enforcing for them their right and duty and obligation to set a new precedent on behalf of our lineages. Greetings, Carly, on the air. Greetings, Carly, on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Um, peace and blessings.
Thank you.
Just calling in. Are we live? It sounds kind of weird.
Yes, yes, we are. You can turn your radio down if you're listening by radio.
Okay, yes, and just reaching out. I just came across your live, and I said, "Wow, this is I'm listening to you. I'm like, oh my God, I just finished eating Little Caesars, coming from work, and I'm like, what am I doing to myself? This needs to stop. I'm 43 years old.
Right.
Come on.
And my son will be 43 in a couple of days. So I'm old enough to be
Yeah,
your
yeah.
mama.
I'm disgusted. I mean, and I don't even feel good after I do it physically, you know. And I'm saying to myself, how am I gonna stop this? Because it's been, 43 years of junk, you know, of forced junk. Because when I was a child, I could not eat meat. I was forced. I come from a Caribbean family,
Mm-hmm.
specifically from Cuba and the Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And when I ate chicken, I vomited. You know,
Right.
uh, and I was only able to eat fruits. My mother saw that. Everyone saw that. I was only able to eat fruits, bananas, apples, and stuff like that back in the 80s. But eventually, I've succumbed. I ended up eating the traditional diet by force, and it has caused a lot of health problems. Fatty liver. I'm still dealing with it. Um, Premature aging because I know I'm not supposed to be looking the way I look at my age.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, my mother not long ago died of cancer 2 years ago. Um, Cancer that was never heard of in my family. It started in her womb
Mm-hmm.
and it spread out. And a lot of things have happened ever since her passing. And I'm like, I need to change my life, and the best way to change my life is through food.
And the
Because
cleansing,
food,
we're making a distinction between what we know is food and what is actually for cre-
fuel.
fuel for creating optimum
Yeah.
cellular functioning. All right. And so I don't know if you have my life support number so that you are able to get support in knowing what to do. 678.
Yes, yes, I truly need it. I need to. 1 second. Let
Mm-hmm.
me, let me get a pen, a pencil, pen.
And it matters, and I do appreciate this call so much because you're not by yourself. You understand? And this is an issue, that we have all of these death food industries open serving you the flesh of freaking goddamn going dead animals. And to be able to eat the flesh of anything means that you can eat the flesh of everything because it's all the same stuff.
Yeah,
And so the number is 678
678
760
760
9299.
9299.
And so I'm
What is
wanting,
it?
yes, 678 760 9299. And so I'm
Uh,
saying directly, what I know is that we're perfectly and divinely designed, and we've been taught to deny perfection. I'm reminding us we are perfectly and divinely designed, and we can be completely cleared, cleansed, purified, renewed, rebirthed, regenerated, rejuvenated, revitalized, revivified, and resurrected as the children of God rising. That's what time this is for us. So don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed with it because you're making a decision right today on behalf of the lineages to whom you've come to take responsibility to do what is yours as your way of glorifying and honoring them and doing what they did not know to do.
Yes.
What's your name?
Surabi.
Sarabi. So, Sarabi, I look forward to hearing from you at your earliest convenience.
Definitely. When is the best time to reach you?
Whenever's the best time you feel like calling me.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Right.
Thank you very much. You have a blessed night. Thank you very much for
You're so,
your service.
you're so very welcome.
We need it.
Thank you. Bless
Thank
you.
you.
Enjoy. And so we want to be in a place and space where it matters to us to realize we will never ever have anything greater than who and what we already are. And we can't become something that we're not already. When it's about the being, it's not about the doing as much as it is the beings that we are. And yes, it matters to me. The passion that I have, I'm going to tell you straight up. There's nothing here that matters if we don't have the desire to really honor the lineages through whom we've come. If we do not have the desire to stand on behalf of life in a day and time where our families are steeped in sickness, illness, disease, pharmaceuticals, butcheries, surgeries, and all of that. Yes, I'm holding you in the light of this supreme intelligence, reminding you that we are all these points of this absolute and supreme intelligence, and this is the truth. This is the love, that is the power of the realization that we cannot do unto others and not be impacted and affected likewise. You can't feed off the fetuses of other beings and then expect that your children will thrive. Because we're dealing with law. Men don't make law. Law is an inherent part of existence. And the law that is love will be that which allows us to claim the victory and the triumph, but we have to claim it now. You understand? Don't say, well, I want to. Don't say, well, maybe one day. Don't say, well, maybe You go ahead and claim it. I am victorious and triumphant in this now moment because I am deciding to live my life.
Yes, yes.
Not to be dying my life. To live on behalf of life itself. To come to a point in place where, yes, we are able to raise completely up and bring these people to their freaking knees. You're in tune to the meeting of the inner circle, and this is Adama, your voice of resurrection and heraldess on behalf of the eternal. And if you find value with this programming, I mean, really find value, it's like, don't sit back in the shadows and take and not give anything. You understand? See, I don't have to be in the fund drive to ask you to give something. Because if I had to pay for radio airtime, it would run me $350 an hour. Which means that my program would be at least $1,300. And I remember coming off radio because I was just tired of asking you for something. You understand? Why I got to be asking and begging and pleading when I know what I'm giving? You understand? You understand? See, this is a mental psych here, where you pay for your sickness, illness, and disease. You understand? Your bodies are filled with the evidence that you have mismanaged your money. Right? Your bodies are the evidence that you've mismanaged money. Any concerns, questions you have, 678-760-9299 or 404-523-8989. Stop eating garbage. Your body is going to start cleansing anyway. And then you are going to drink you some, I recommend distilled water because it doesn't have anything in it. And they say, oh, well, distilled water is going to rob your body of minerals. You ain't got no minerals after eating the flesh of dead animals, the aborted fetuses of chickens, the pussy milks of cows. I don't know what minerals you think you got. Your body is literally in a state of starvation. So you're adding minerals when you add 2 tablespoons of Celtic salt or sea salt or Himalayan pink salt to 32 ounces of warm distilled water and drink that before you go to bed so that you are having a more substantive evacuation, because those poisons, they're going to have to come out through the bowel or they have to come out through the skin. So you start doing some skin brushing and whatnot, and always to the heart and upwards towards the heart, and literally stimulating your lymphatic system and getting into a hot tub, hot bath, hot showers, not showers per se, but saunas and whatnot. And some people, when they get to a certain point, I'm saying, get one of these sauna blankets if you don't have a bathtub. See, they're building a lot of the particularly senior facilities where they don't have tubs. You understand? And so we're not even connected. Those who are building are not even connected to how to build to facilitate health and life. And people who take hot showers, it's said that you get more poison from the water if you do not have a shower filter from the shower than you would in a tub of water. But when you get the detox bath and whatnot, then the bentonite literally puts you in a place where you don't have to worry about it because it neutralizes anything that's chemical. See, the earth is more powerful than what man has made. That's what we're having to realize. The earth is more powerful than all of your chemicals. And so your body is going to be cleansing anyway. And then you start your day with your herbal teas. Some of you are already drinking teas, but you really need life support, because what I've realized is that people hear bits and pieces, and they take the bits and pieces, but the bits and pieces that you're taking do not add up to the whole. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Even if you have all of the parts, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. All right, so your fresh fruit, your first meal of the day will be eating your fill of one juicy fruit. So that could be your watermelons, it could be your cantaloupe, it could be your honeydew, but do not mix these fruits. Eat one thing until you're full. That could be your cherries, it could be your grapes, it could be your pineapple, it could be your strawberries. Eat one thing. Why? Because your fruit is the body's natural cleanser. And ones will say, oh, well, the fruits are GMO and the vegetables are GMO. I'm saying, but you got a body full of the rot of pigs and cows and turkeys and chicken. And then you done smoked and drank and had all kinds of strange sex with strange people. I'm just saying, yeah, the body needs cleansing. And the fruit and the vegetation, they might even have a marginalized seed, but it still has water, it still has intelligence, and it still has fiber. And 90% of the antibiotic use and 90% of the pesticides, herbicides, and whatnot go to and are sprayed and given on the food that goes to feed the animals. All right, so you're still going to get much more concentrated, saturated chemical poisoning from the flesh of dead animals than you would get from fruit and vegetation. So you already literally have more chemicals already in your body than you could possibly get in fruit and vegetation over the next 20 years. We're 445238989. Any other questions, concerns? But I'm just saying, you have access to a life support line. And for those who are not familiar with me and this is your first time listening, the archives at wrfg.org, the meeting of the inner circle, you can listen to as much of me as you can take, and then on other platforms also, but to come to a point in place where you really have a wholehearted desire for absolute truth. I was listening to the program a couple of weeks ago when the European minister had called in and said that I needed to not be on my soapbox for so long because people can't take it. I said, well, people can just turn it off when they're ready. But those who love the truth, they're not going to get tired of the truth, just like you all who love the lie don't get tired of hearing the lie. You understand? The issue is that they don't serve the same purpose because the lie is there to have you in a place where you feel entitled to your own opinion and your theory. But you were told to know the truth, and the truth would make you free. Free from what? Free from the lie, free from the disease, free from the degradation, the violation, free from being in the valley of the shadow of death and the shadow of the valley of death. You understand? The truth gives you your permission to regain your footing upon the path of absolute light, love, wisdom, truth, peace, poise, and power, to be well grounded and well founded in it, so that you are able to really thrive. You understand? Just like some of the tallest trees and whatnot, just continue to be bearing fruit and whatnot, continue to be a blessing, continue to be a gift as you are maturing. The degradation, the violation, the dementia, the Alzheimer's, all of this where our seniors are in decline is a result of the accumulation, the saturation, the contraindication of all of the meat, the dairy, the eggs, the chicken, the fish, and all of the chemicals that are there. So on behalf of the lineages through whom we've come, on behalf of those that we have seen pass away and die a terrible death because they never knew to ask for anything different. And if they did, they might have waited too late. And then they were listening to ones that they should have never listened to. When you had access, and we have access to a direct line of light with the source of our being. And that's the only way that I got to where I am, is to have made a commitment to God, to life, to having my spirit cry out for answer. Because y'all can't make this make sense. It doesn't make sense that your greed for money, that your ego is so inflated that you want to prove your superiority by anesthetizing, inebriating, intoxicating, and usurping the life force and the life currency of other ones for your own profit. But there is no profit. You're in delusion. And this war that you have going on against other ones. And you're talking about go back to Africa. Y'all didn't come here. Y'all, y'all don't, y'all didn't come from here. Go back to where y'all came from. And so it's like, go back. No, let's be present in the presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence. We don't have to go anywhere. We need to be present because the earth is traveling and we're travelers. Now, everybody's serving a life sentence here. The issue is, will you make the commitments and recommit consistently in walking in the integrity of the truth of the divinity, the sanctity, and the sacredness of what it is to be? I commit my whole body, heart, mind, life, and soul to being completely cleared, cleansed, purified, renewed, rebirthed, regenerated, rejuvenated, revitalized, and revivified. On behalf of the lineages through whom I've come and those who are with me, those who've come and gone too soon, on behalf of those that we didn't allow to come, on behalf of those who've come through and those who've yet to come, we're living so that others will have life more abundantly. We're serving so that we are found to be worthy, deserving, and well trusted by the administering intelligences to be the purveyors of absolute truth that govern and are the prerequisites for our being qualified for continuance in existence as representatives of the establishment of the eternal order and the eternal government. That our clearing, our cleansing, our purification, our renewal, our rebirth, our re-enthronement within these bodies that have been purified and consecrated as temples for where we meet God. It's temples of where we become harmonized with the will and the way and the light and the love and the peace and the poise and the power and the integrity and the high ethic and morality. See, that's what they will not be able to take from us when we take our power back and get all of this garbage out of our system so that we're renewed and rebirthed. Be you renewed through the renewing of your mind. The way that you do that is through cleansing the blood. And we've heard all of our lives, salvation comes through the blood of Christ. We're creating a bloodstream that bears no violation of violated beings, inebriants, intoxicants, artificial colors and flavors, and all of this. So that we are literally creating the consciousness of one who knows the divinity and the truth of itself as the personification of this absolute and supreme intelligence that is referred to as God and Goddess. But this is not vanity. This is not ego. This is the responsibility, duty, and obligation of being in service and to be able to truly serve where the need actually is in our restoration, our reconciliation, our restitution, our redemption, our harmonization with the order of existence and the will of existence so that we are qualified for continuance in existence upon the planet and beyond the planet. Because we've all come and we shall all leave if you don't die here. And to think that all death is the same, and I'm saying, no, there's a death. But the death is not what I'm talking about. I'm trying to say we should be avoiding that. But as long as your body is bearing a violation of all of these dead creatures, then that's the path that you're on. Now I'm saying, put the brakes on. Stop feeding on all of this garbage. You are divinely blessed with the gift of life. Don't allow a capitalistic system of usurpation and degradation to rob you of the integrity of the divinity and the sanctity and the sacredness of who and who you are. Who and whose you are. Because this is the greatest gift and the commonality of who we are as these points of this absolute and supreme presence. And so on behalf of the wholeness, on behalf of the all, there's a power that we have in love. And see, when we're consecrating these body temples, when we're resubstantiating the body to be highly charged, mineralized water, and you're infusing your love and gratitude within every fiber of your being, you understand? And you begin to radiate it, everything around you begins to become abundant. You understand? I mean, just, you'll see it. It'll be evident. And I've seen it in the houses that I've lived in, and then once I leave and go, and it's a complete transformation because very few people hold the frequency and the vibration of what was there when I was there, particularly when my teacher was with me. Josiah Oswagu. You understand? I'm just saying, Atlanta got everything going on here, but being centered on behalf of the eternal order is here. And those of us who have had the benefit of greater realizations and consciousness and conscientiousness, it's not about an experience that people are looking for the experiences with the ayahuasca and with the mushrooms and with the peyote and with the LE, looking for an experience, what I'm saying, but God is the daily reverence and practice of his peace and his presence. It's a daily work. It's not something that you do every now and again, which is why you aspire towards the cleanliness of the blood. I'll be forward in just a bit.
This July 8th through 13th, hundreds of skilled instructors, artists, musicians, speakers, and thinkers and convene outside of Asheville to relearn ways of living sustainably with Earth and in community.
The annual Firefly Gathering is a family friendly crafting event that reconnects people in the Southeast with the teachings of the past. Learn to start and tend fires, forage for wild foods, make baskets, take guided plant walks, and so much more while camping in the beautiful mountains of North Carolina.
People of all ages and backgrounds are welcome, and we love the youth program at Firefly.
O cosmic I am, you the supreme administrator and counselor within, throughout all and over all. You look at the world through the eyes of the smallest insect and through the vortices of the grandest universes. You are the giver of all and the receiver of all and the most loving and beloved. Indeed, no one can serve you without you or offend you without you. Neither can anyone love you without you. For all things, without any exceptions, happen or fail to happen within your infinite, eternal, living, and all intelligent body cosmic. Oh, all love and supreme wisdom, how great and joyful I feel knowing I am an immortal child of yours, and knowing that the children of the Creator are surely destined to become real goddesses and gods. What best ways are there to speak of the highest truth than to speak of thee? To apply to the highest love than to apply to thee, to seek power and potency than to seek in thee, O absolute veracity of cosmic reality. Your presence is the highest and lowest common denominator of all beings, ideals, conditions, and significances, and is the substance of the tangible, subtle, and unmanifested. O cosmic being of beings, O light and life of all microcosm, is not all consciousness the mode of flow of the essence and capacity of thy direct presence, proceedings and progression towards thy purposes? O cosmic I am, is it not thy will to motion, power, love, wisdom, thrill, form, and beauty that is called consciousness? Is not consciousness the organic vitality and value in the light of thy supreme intelligence of ever-changing conjunctions in and of the elements of thy direct presence? O most instant and beneficent counselor of all, you are the absolute knowledge and absolute knower. No beings, no matter what their order may be, can add one iota of intelligence and substance to their stature, form, or worth without taking from thee and giving same unto thee. You are the true self of all selves, and there is no God or goddess anywhere, or any great spirit and intelligence, or any human or ex-human, or any character or elementals, or any material or subtle worlds which stand upon their own grounds, breathe their own elements, float within their own atmospheres and essence, apart from that which derives from the reality of thy direct presence. You are the common ground of all reality and all possibilities. You are the capacitator, the upholder, and the upheld. And all so-called co-creators are mere parts of your own cosmic entity under your impetus and command. Neither can they produce any elements that were not already in existence as part of thee. You are the circle without periphery, and the cycle without ending. O thou beginningless and endless, you are the all central, and I thrill in the realization that I am an immortal and inalienable part of you, and you are the eternal and boundless whole of me.